welcome to my review of Jerusalem by Alan Moore, published in September 2016. So first of all, I'm just sort of going to give this quick fire review, so then I'm not boring you too much, and if you are bored with my ramblings, you can sort of click off without me having wasted too much of your time. But if you're interested in hearing more in-depth analysis or interested in hearing more about the book, then stick around and see what I have to say. So what I enjoyed about the book, well, the great attention to minor details throughout the novel, thought really emphasised the theme that individuals can have a profound impact, which I really enjoyed. I enjoyed the structure and the form of the book. I thought it was very interesting at times, occasionally a bit complicated, but good for testing out of brain cells, or brain cell in my case. I enjoyed how the lives of the characters and the locations within the buzz sort of overlapped and intertwined. So the novel was really akin to this living entity almost. So that's done really well. What I would have liked to have seen was, to my eyes, most of the point of view characters seem to have similar philosophical outlooks or similar political views. I would have liked to have seen a few counterpoint characters to sort of create a debate and create an argument to sort of drive a message forward and drive a debate forward. I thought that was lacking. Occasionally the adjectives, the epithets used, the descriptions used, did seem to get a bit burdensome and seemed to serve no other purpose than padding. It wasn't too bad, but it did get a bit off-putting occasionally. And again, repeated evaluations and musings on similar philosophical themes did sort of seem to drag the book on, and it is a very long book as it is. When I was interested in the characters, for example, Dead Gang in book 2, or when I was interested in what was going on, the Asmodeus fight chapter was quite action-packed. I didn't mind taking a long way around because I was invested in the characters and what is going on. But when you get this new character who sort of crops up who not too fussed about, he's sort of rehashing the same sentiments that's been said previously, it's sort of got a bit tiresome. But the negative points are vastly outweighed by the positives in my eyes. I enjoyed the book greatly. I liked how it tied everything together. I enjoyed the book thoroughly and all the events. So I'd definitely give it sort of a 4 out of 5 on the bookometer. If you're a patient reader, if you don't mind, reading, vast descriptions or meandering plot, then I think you'll enjoy this book a lot. But if you know that you're going to be put off by the descriptions and by the length of the novel, and by the fact that occasionally it doesn't seem to get very far. One character did remark at one point that the characters don't go a mile till the writer writes for a while, and the pace that Alan Moore writes, they're not getting a yard whilst he writes for a while. So if you're going to sort of be put off by the longer book, then you might not want to give this a go. But I thought it was an excellent read. So I guess we get into the main body of the review. So if you want to hear more, stick around. If you want to read more, by Alan Moore's Jerusalem. I hope you like how I've worked that joke in. Spent ages crafting it. Anyway, several people have sort of described this novel as a sprawling epic of mass proportions. And again, that's largely because this novel is a sprawling epic of mass proportions. So why misrepresent it, I guess. But it's a bit more than that. It's more than sort of this mess of words. It is a meticulous look at the small, intricate details that sort of add an in-depth analysis to the minor aspects. It really sort of feeds into a broader spectrum of themes throughout the novel. Themes of eternalism, fatalism. Again, the insignificant aspects having the greatest impact, oppression and subjugation. So all these minor aspects do sort of theme and reciprocate between these themes. So it's almost like a conversation, this interaction between them. So the novel sort of uses Northampton as a fulcrum, and it explores the lives of various characters, various landmarks and locations, various historical events, such as the Battle of Naseby and the Civil War with Cromwell. You get in the University of Northampton that never was, which got eventually built in Cambridge due to political disagreements. You get in the Great Fire of Northampton, this sort of key historical event, key historical local event that sort of influenced the direction of the boroughs and its foray into destitution and impoverished denizens. So it all sort of leads up to an incident, a choking incident of a child on a cough sweep. So I've said before that the novel did seem to be a love letter to the boroughs, but it does go a lot deeper than an encyclopedic entry. Again, you sort of focus on Michael Warren, who fears he's going a bit mad following a workplace accident. And the novel sort of explores all the aspects and all the incidents that lead up to that moment. And you sort of get this analysis of Michael's ancestors, particularly the Vernal line, and their importance, and all these moments that lead up to this incident. And then you get all the moments that splinter off from the incident. It all culminates in this art exhibition, which really relays what the book's about. So, the underlying overlying philosophy of the novel is, one of eternalism and fatalism, whereby each moment of life is endlessly repeated ad nauseum, and the trajectory of every being, every being's life is sort of predestined, with free will just being an illusion. So the book does explore the nature of life, the nature of death, within the context of, his philosophy. It also explores an idea of the afterlife as a metaphysical concept. So the book is split into, or the novel split into 3 books. You've got book 1, The Boroughs, which is essentially, setting the scene. It explores the characters within the boroughs, the history of Northampton, and the sort of traits of eccentricity within the Vernal lineage. And the structure very much resembles a relay race, whereby each character sort of hands the baton on to another and then they continue. You sort of get their outlook on the boroughs and their exploration. The second book, Man's Soul, is probably my favourite part of the overall novel. I think this could make a great standalone novel. It's sort of an adventure book in and of itself, following the Dead Gang, which are these sort of spectral miscreants, I guess, or chavs as you might call them. But we sort of just get into misadventures and mischief through the afterlife, exploring again key historical events surrounding Northampton. We explore the contemporary Northampton and what it's become and what sort of led up to these changes. And you sort of get in the backstory of each of these members of the Dead Gang. So I really did enjoy the second book. Vernal's Inquest, the final book, and it sort of makes the previous 2 books feel like nursery time reading compared to this one. This again, it sort of delves into the people and the locales of the boroughs, but each chapter is sort of stylistically unique. So there's a play, there's a film noir, there's a poem, there's a stream of consciousness. At one point you're sort of exploring the point of view of Lucia Joyce, James Joyce's daughter, and that's done in Joycean prose. But it's not beyond comprehension, you can understand it if you sort of read it well enough. And what made me laugh in the acknowledgements was how Alan Moore said that the editor spotted a couple of typos within that chapter, so it isn't beyond understanding, but it is difficult to sort of get your head around. And again, this book sort of draws all the previous plot points together to a single moment. You sort of see how the characters' lives interact and cross over, and it's sort of brought full circle. In the last chapter, you do get sort of this recap of the novel and of the themes of eternalism and repetitiveness, and these unrelated details forming, this cohesive whole. So that's done really well. It does conclude fantastically in my eyes. So there's several main themes for me, but the themes of predestiny, obviously. Most of the characters sort of remark on the idea of this preordained life. It's commented that life's like a river, life is like a book, life is like a pattern on a tapestry, life is like town planning. That's said by a local councillor, believe it or not. And in a way, this book is sort of a literal overview of a Deus Ex Machina, with these angels called builders are playing trilliards, which is essentially billiards. And whilst they're shooting pool, they've got human souls as the billiards balls, and each hit influences their trajectory through life. And when they pop the ball, that's the end of their life. So it's sort of an interesting view on the state of fatalism. Again, what I would have liked to have seen is a bit more counterpoint and counter arguments. There's an interesting ethical discussion in one chapter towards the end, where it sort of raises whether it's possible to assign guilt to a person for bad or immoral things they got up to in life, when they had no choice in the matter. It sort of brings the nature of morality into question. Do we say that there is no evil, and if so, does that mean there is no good? Or do we accept that there is good and bad, and do we assign culpability elsewhere? One of the characters remarks that the good thing about fate is that blame delegates upwards. So do we assign guilt to the overseer or the person who engineers the destiny, if there is such a person? It's a difficult thing to grasp and get your head around, and I would have liked to have seen a bit more said on the matter. I mean, one of the characters does remark that just because of lack of certainty or clarity on the issue, or just because that we might not like the lack of fate, does not rule out, just because we might not like the art of fate, does not rule out a lack of free will. Which, I guess is a good point, but I would have liked to have seen a bit more counter-argument, I guess. You get this theme of eternity. So, there's the idea that life is a continuous cycle. Once you die, your life is laid out in front of you like a book, which I can assure you I won't be reviewing my life story when it comes to be, because, you'd all be bored deaf. But, ideas of circle often appear, so, get a focus on chimney pots, on chimney stacks, a discussion on torus or tori, focus on bicycle wheels of all things. And the novel itself, in a way, it often seems to repeat themes, repeat ideas, repeat descriptions, and sort of encircle it. And, you sort of get events seen from different points of view throughout the book. So, you get the same event, you're seeing how the character leads up to this event, and then you're seeing, this cross-section that you've already read. Then it goes on forward, so you're seeing, how it splinters off from that interaction. Again, you're getting references to James Joyce, who's famous for, Finnegan's Wake, obviously, sort of cycle through at the end. There's a discussion on the trends of digits and multiplications of numbers 0 to 9, continuing onwards. And then, of course, you get the chapters focused on the ghost, who are sort of reliving their lives, and the dead gang sort of revisiting their lives and revisiting historical intrigues. Sort of offers a new perspective on what occurred, as well as sort of a nice adventures spin on, other than just ruminating on the issue. Then there's also sort of this New Life Regeneration project, which sort of mentioned. All comes together, all circle in the end. But the most important theme for me, and the most sort of poignant theme, because I think it does have the sort of most relevance, is how the most seemingly insignificant people and events do have a great impact. And you're getting all these small characters who seem insignificant, but they really do influence the novel and influence other people's lives. There's a significance of the ordinary sort of names of Vernell and Warren. Vernell sort of meaning Fernhill or Verge, and Warren, it's sort of analogous to rabbit burrows or the burrows. Again, you get these themes of rabbits as well through it. The poor breeding like rabbits in the burrows because they're impoverished. One of the members of the Dead gang, the leader of it, Phyllis, has a stall of rabbits around her. And the two names put together, Verge of the Brothers, that's sort of related through it. Just these ordinary names, really. You get this character of Marla, who I think is the greatest example, because her evolution from, just this poor prostitute living in, destitution to almost a modern saint, really does sort of play out this theme fantastically. I think it does exemplify, the more hedonistic approach to life, even if life is fated, do make the most of it, do derive as much happiness as you can from it, and you can sort of influence other people to make, impact upon other people, and it sort of spreads that out onwards. Another theme you get is sort of oppression and subjugation throughout, whether it's parliament, local government, mental hospitals, sexual exploitation, poverty, racism. And the unhappiest characters in the end are those who sort of exploit these ideas of subjugation, whereas the happiest ones are those who sort of deal with it, who sort of overcome their own issues and try to provide happiness for everybody else. So, you do get a focus on individuals, on smaller groups that make the brothers a better place and sort of aim to improve the brothers. This sort of beneficial, charitable perspective. And, it is mentioned that at one point fictional heroes are good for modelling your life on, adapting on, but they're just fictional in the end, and their feats and bravado sort of pale in comparison to those who stand up against corruption and bigotry and hatred. So I guess what I really want to say is I did enjoy the book. If you are able to withstand the longer descriptions and meandering, I think you will really get a lot out of this book. What I'll just go through is what other people have sort of said. So what people did enjoy about the book from what I've read on Goodreads, they enjoyed the complexity, they enjoyed the imagination and the ideas that were worked into the book, they enjoyed the humour and the inventiveness of the book. Somebody sort of described the book as an experience rather than something to try and comprehend. And again, other people have said they've enjoyed it, but it's one for more patient readers. But the bad things, some people really thought the descriptions were overwrought. They didn't enjoy sort of the adjectives and the analysis of mundane activities. Thought it was overly long. Some people thought it's too challenging, which is fair enough. Some people thought the writing was bloated, and again, some people didn't really like the philosophy imparted, how it doesn't give you alternatives. So if the good things to sort of get you interested in the book, it's definitely worth reading. But if you are put off by the bad aspects that I've just described, you might want to give it a miss because they can be quite off-putting. It's a slow read, but otherwise a very excellent read. So apologies for the length of the review. You know, I tried to condense it as small as possible, but I was making contemporaneous notes, and you know, I've got so many pages of them. It's quite difficult to sort of get my head around what I want to say. So thank you for watching. Have a good day, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.